Who knows? All right. Kia ora, everyone out there. I'm Daniel from Bethlehem Baptist Church. And with me today is three lovely young ladies. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. Emma, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Emma. I am from Whakatane. I've just recently moved here. I originally was in West Auckland. And yeah, the reason I'm blurry is because I'm living the data life. So sorry about that.
Good. And Heather, can you introduce yourself?
Kia ora. I'm Heather, and I am originally from Wellington, but I moved to Auckland to be a youth pastor at a big church there called Windsor Park. We were youth pastors there for 11, 12 years, and now I work for BYM National, and I train youth pastors, and I help run mission teams to Fiji. You should go. Mission teams are good. They're awesome.
Yes.
Talk to Dan if you're interested, because he is. And you do lots of different training and stuff, and love young people, and also really love looking after and helping youth pastors. Yeah.
Nice. And Jess, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, kia ora. I'm Jess, and I am from Auckland, and I'm the youth pastor at Mount Albert Baptist Church, and I've been the youth pastor there for 8 years now, I think. So, yeah.
Nice. Now I'm going to do something that's not culturally sensitive. I'm going to ask you for your ages, so the people watching, the people in my youth group. So if you want to fudge it and just give a roundabout, that's fine. But Emma, how old are you?
I just turned 23 on April 26th.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Jess, how old might you be?
I am 31.
Nice.
31 and young.
Yeah.
I'm just past 50. So yeah.
Are you?
I'm the oldie. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. I also forgot to say I've got 2 kids. Whoops. And a husband. Oh well.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone knows who Alan is, so it's fine. Yeah. Nice. Well, I've invited these 3 girls along to talk because they're all experts on relationships. So this is today's topic. Today's topic, we're talking about relationships. There's a wonderful little graphic down the bottom that's talking about relationships. And so, Emma, you're married and have been married for how long?
So I've been married for a year, pretty much. I got married on the 30th of March last year.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Heather, you're married.
I am married. Yeah, I've been married 30 years this year. We were going to go to Europe for our honeymoon, for our 30-year honeymoon kind of thing. But that ain't happening.
Oh.
No, good. It's not a good place to go at the moment. And Jess is currently single.
I am.
She's a single representative. But what's your story been?
What's my story been?
I'm trying.
I thought you were going to tell everyone for me.
No, this is for you. You have the honor.
Yeah, so I am currently single, but I was married. So I got married when I was about 25, I think. And was married for I think 3 years, and then sadly the marriage ended. So I am now divorced. Yeah.
Nice. But you're still a pastor, you're still working, life's good, right?
Yeah, and loving being single as well.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so where is the so I've got that. There we go. So the first question I want to ask is did you guys all go to youth group? Were you all kind of born and raised Christian-y people? Did you go to youth group along the way?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
no, our church didn't believe in youth groups until I was in my late 20s. Yeah.
Okay. So did you guys date in youth group? Did you have boyfriends? And so Heather's no.
No. My first boyfriend was when I was 21.
Wow. And it's Alan, right?
No.
Oh. Hope he's not watching. That's right. He doesn't watch these, so it's good. He won't know. Emma, did you have boyfriends?
Not during youth group. I had my first like proper boyfriend in my first year out of school. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Jess, you gonna buck the curve here, or are you gonna?
Yeah, I did. I had my first boyfriend when I was 14. Yeah, and he was a boy in the youth group.
Ah, nice. So, what was that experience like? How did that go? Was it
Not
marvelous at
great.
14?
Yeah. It was. It ended messy, and yeah, it caused a lot of awkward tension in the youth group. I think I definitely avoided it for a good year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was not the best experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is really going out to the young women in my youth group. This is the first audience that it's designed for, but this video could go wider, we don't know. But speaking specifically to the women in my youth group, the question is, should young women, should they be in relationships? I'm talking about high school age girls. So as you're all older and have had varied experiences and done different things, looking back and talking directly to my teenage girls, do you think that they should be in relationships, or do you think they shouldn't be in relationships? What do you guys think about that?
I think it's complicated. I don't think there's sort of, a rule that you can go by for it. I was incredibly fussy. And it was all to do with my big sisters who mocked me a lot. And I was like very, very careful about letting them know who I liked, because I always liked somebody. I always had a crush on somebody. But I knew if I went out with them, it had to sort of be successful, or I would just get such a hard time from my sisters. So and they would give them a hard time as well, because they were in the church too. So I had this also, loved Jesus, really passionate about him, and wanted to honor him as well. So I wanted the best. It didn't stop me liking boys. I liked them a lot. I thought about them a lot. I had dream conversations with them every night. But I also wanted to be really careful about the choices I made, and about my sisters hassling me. So yeah.
So while we're on that, did your sisters date? Did they go to youth, or were they in that youth community as well? And
yeah, and they were a whole lot older than me, so 5 and 7 years. So yeah.
Okay.
To actually answer your question, should they or shouldn't they? I think that, as followers of Jesus, that for me, it was really important to go out with somebody who also loved God, that was going to help me push into God and not away from God, and somebody who actually, had similar values to me, and had a lot of fun. There was a bit of chemistry there. And there was probably only 7 guys in the entire youth group that could fit that, over about 8 years. That also, my odds were cut down quite a lot as well. Yeah.
So it's also about ratios.
It's also about ratios. Yeah.
Speaking of ratios, the other girls got thoughts, feelings. Should young girls who are in youth group be in relationships?
Go, Jess.
I don't know. I agree with Heather. It is complicated. I think it's important to perhaps think about why you're wanting to get into a relationship. So I know for me as a 14-year-old girl, having a boyfriend, I think it had nothing to do with like thinking about the future or what God wanted for me or anything like that. It was just, 1, because it was something fun to do. 2, because everyone else was doing it. And 3, I think there was a part of me that looking for something to make me feel more secure about myself. And I realized quickly that actually this relationship did the opposite of that. It pulled me further away from God. It made me more insecure about myself and my identity. And it just left me with a whole lot of baggage. And
do you think that sentiment still exists in youth ministry for young women, that was it like you almost said like it was a status thing? It was almost like a fulfilling thing. It was almost like a thing to do. Is that? I mean, I might see that in my youth group. I haven't been there long enough to say for sure. But across our youth groups, do we see that in young women? That dating is a status symbol, something to aspire to, and if you don't have one, there's something wrong with you. Is that? Am I right there? I mean, you tell me.
Yeah, I still see like, yeah, my girls in the youth group feeling that pressure, yeah, to be in a relationship. And I think particularly in Christian circles, there's this kind of expectation that I know when I was growing up, yeah, that my role as a woman was to get married and have children and that was it. But actually God wants so much more for us as women, because we're intelligent and we're clever and adventurous and fun and, you know, all these things. And so there's so much more to us than just relationships and babies. And so like a piece of scripture that I found really encouraging in relation to should young girls date or not is in Corinthians, where it talks about God. Paul talks about being content exactly where you are, and that actually being single is a gift that God has given us. And I don't think that's celebrated enough in churches, that actually singleness is something that we should celebrate, because we can actually we have more freedom to serve God and do the things that he wants and work on our identity and be free to I guess be in his kingdom. So yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Nice. Emma, what do you think? Should girls be in a relationship?
Yeah, like the others have said, it is kind of a complicated sort of topic. It's different for each person. But yeah, just the only things that I would really add on is when I think back to when I was in youth group, although I didn't date anyone, I spent a lot of time, I wasted a lot of time thinking about boys, sort of pursuing these things, liking them, do they like me back? And yeah, through your high school years, you're learning a lot and you're growing a lot. And I like look back now and I'm like, I wish I didn't waste so much time just worrying about like what boys thought of me, or do they like me, or maybe they want to date me. I wish I spent more time working on myself so that when I actually did get into a relationship, I was whole and I knew who I was as a person. I wasn't insecure. You know, I wish I spent more time in my high school years working on that part of me rather than getting out of school, having a relationship and being like, oh crap, this is bringing up a lot of insecurities for me. So that would kind of be like my input, is just to think about maybe working on yourself first before you jump into a relationship in youth group with a guy that okay.
So following on from that then, at what age do you think girls should start dating? So Heather, you've got children, one of them's a girl, right?
Yep, definitely. She's 23.
She's 23. Is she allowed to start dating yet? Does Alan allow it?
Yeah, we said to our kids, I'm a primary school teacher, when I'm not doing youth work, and you do see kids in year 5 and year 6, you know, year 7, year 8 going out, and we did say to our kids that they couldn't go out with anyone till they were 13. So year 9 was the first that we sort of consider it. And I've got good friends who've told their kids they can't go out with anyone till they're year 12, 13, you know. So and the reason they do that is some of the stuff Jess was talking about, you know, the emotional baggage that comes with, I'm not really up for making some really hard good choices, and a lot of it can be hormonally challenged, sort of driven, or it can be I need my ego stroke kind of challenge, you know. I mean, we don't know that at the time. I just know I like him and he makes me feel so yeah, but yeah, that was for our daughter, it was year 9 before we'd start talking about it.
So year 9, okay.
Yeah.
My daughter's 10 and she's got some guy who messages her and they FaceTime on the tablet. I'm not okay with this little boy. It's like you can go and tablet someone else. Anyway, Yeah, Emma. And
So, their friends at school are getting all excited about it and sort of encouraging her and all that kind of stuff. That will be going on as well.
no, they just do schoolwork and go play in the playground and just stop FaceTiming my daughter while you're playing Minecraft together. That's no. Anyway, this isn't about Dan's thoughts about his daughter. This is Emma and Jess. What age do you think girls? I mean, thinking about girls who are in your youth groups, what would you recommend? Like, when do you feel girls are ready to start this dating journey?
I do think it's different for every girl because I think it is a maturity thing and where you're at in
Yep.
life. But from what I've observed of like even just recent youth ministry, the young people that are in relationships, they bring the most drama to youth group.
Yeah.
And I know that probably sounds a bit harsh to say, but
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
relationships are a really hard thing, and they're actually quite an adult thing. And as a teenager, your brain's actually not fully developed to cope with that level of stress and decision making, and just having to figure all these different dynamics out. Like you're not fully developed to actually figure a lot of this stuff out. So I'm probably being a bit more conservative in heading on the caution side. But also like your teenage years are so fun. Like, and I love being a teenager. And so use that time to have fun with your girlfriends, or have fun with your guy mates. Like enjoy that time. Don't make it more complicated by adding this adult type relationship into it is my advice. I think enjoy being a teenager.
Yeah. Emma?
I think Jess is spot on with her answer. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, I don't really have much more to contribute than what the others have said.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to add just a little bit, like just to that whole friendship thing. I grew up in a household of girls, and just my dad was the only boy. And I didn't really know how to relate to guys. They're different. I know Jess grew up with boys, so she had a bit more of a head start than I did, So that developing friendships with guys is really important before you start dating. It is really important to understand they do work differently than you. They do think about different things than you do, and just enjoying their company. They are crazy. They are silly. They will do crazy things with you for fun. And enjoy that. So yeah.
So one of the things that came up when I was talking with the guys about this was the platonic relationships, and they were saying, and I think maybe quite rightly, that from a guy's perspective, when they hang out with girls, it's never ever fully platonic. I think because there's always that something could happen, and in a guy's brain, I think something could happen at any time. That's kind of the mystery around it. From a girl's perspective, platonic relationships with guys, it's what do you think about that? Because I found it was quite interesting how those guys talked about it. And I think over time it's changed. Certainly when I was growing up, boys didn't hang out with girls for almost any other reason except to get with them. And that's maybe a more non-Christian background that I come from. But I think today, with how gender roles are changing and even gender fluidity is coming into the scene a lot more, that platonic relationships do exist, more these days. But from a girl's perspective, about that boy friend of yours, that guy you hang out with, or that group of guys you hang out with, what's it like for you guys? Is it purely just hey, these people are friends and we're all equal and it's fine, or is there always that little not now, I'm talking about when you were teenagers, like specifically for teenagers? Yeah, you get what I'm saying? Because otherwise I'm going to go down a rabbit hole there. Yeah, what do you think about that?
For me, there was definitely guy friends who I had no chemistry with. I wasn't attracted to them. I didn't think, oh man, but there were the occasional guys that started out as friends and there was no chemistry. And then as I got to know them, because for girls, personality is really important and not just looks. So looks are pretty good too. So There were lots of friendships for me that weren't. There was no question mark around it. They were like a brother, kind of thing. So,
so you friend zoned a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I would say the same. Like, I look back and I think I still have a few friends who are guys that I'm still really good friends with now, even though like I'm married, and like there was never the question of feelings or chemistry or anything like that. I grew up with brothers and a lot of cousins who were boys as well. So with that, it's like there's never going to be chemistry because they're your family. But yeah, I think it can happen. You just do, I guess, have to be mindful that like feelings, I don't know, could develop, or they could, you just have to be careful. Like, I think, like, yeah, it's important to have good guy friends, but I would like also really encourage, like, if you've only got good guy friends, there's something that you get from having really solid good girlfriends that you just can't get from a guy. They think differently, they work differently. So I do get a little bit like cautious with my young people when they own my young girls when they only have friends that are guys. Not that there's like necessarily anything wrong with that. I would just encourage them, like, who are your solid girls that you can like chat with as well.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Emma. Yeah, I wish I'd known that when I was a teenager.
Well, this is why we're doing these talks now. This is why we're doing them. But yeah.
Yeah, I have all brothers. And I have a big extended family that are all boys. So I'm the only girl in a big male-dominated family, basically. And so yeah, hanging out with boys seemed really natural to me. And so as a teenager, like some of my closest, bestest friends were guys. But I think now looking back, I went into that quite naively, because while others talked about, for me, they were just my best buds. I found out later that they felt quite differently towards me, and I think I ended up breaking a few hearts. I have some sad stories of some hearts that were broken because I didn't feel the same and was hanging out with them naively, thinking that things were platonic where they were secretly in love with me. And I have also, since being a teenager, realized that the way that I felt with my guy friends was actually quite different from the way that I feel with my girlfriends. And yeah, like when we would hug or whatever, it was different, because I think there was that element of, I don't know, even if I didn't feel anything for them, there was an element of flirtation, or I don't know. Yeah. So it is different. So there does have to be caution and perhaps sensible boundaries, and like Emma said, having that healthy balance of guy friends and girlfriends. I wish I had some closer girlfriends when I was a teenager rather than just boys.
So again, girls in youth group, they're not flirting with boys with no intent to ever go out with them, are they? That doesn't exist, does it?
Well, that's a mean question.
Because if it is, I have to warn my boys. If you're like, "Oi, these girls are doing it just for fun." I'm sure you girls have never done that, right?
Well, we've all done it, Dan.
Shocking. This, the world is turning. All right, so so much like the conversation I had with the boys went much the similar way, and so if we're asking our young people to withhold from this dating scene until they're mature enough, they're whole enough, they understand who they are, they've developed, they have experienced, other things that have all this fun. There's this other problem that we have, and it's going to come up, hormones. And I don't know why I've kept this as the little ticker across the bottom. The boys thought it was hilarious. But the girls struggle with hormones too, right? Girls have these desires and they want to be with guys. And are we asking them to suppress this? Like what do we say to our young people, our young women, when we're saying, hey, look, you have these feelings and desires. what works? What are we trying to say? What are we trying to do? How do we do this properly? How do we not wreck them? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? How do we teach young people to deal with their hormones in a beautiful way? Because they all have them, right? I mean, speaking from a guy's perspective, yeah, we have them. It's pretty obvious. Yeah, girls have similar feelings as well. They hormones go crazy. I'm married, so I know they do. But yeah, you guys take over. I'm gonna bury myself.
I hope I don't make people feel uncomfortable, but I mean, on a menstrual cycle, there are times where women are a lot more flirty than they are at other times. So there's as they're heading towards their peak of ovulation, they're feeling saucy, they're feeling gorgeous, they're feeling and they are looking for feedback. They're looking for confirmation from guys that they are good looking, that they are attractive, and a lot of self-esteem can actually be built around that. The amount of feedback that you get, and a lot of destroyed self-esteem, can be around that as well. But yeah, definitely girls are hormonally out there and wanting feedback that they look good.
Okay. So what's if you're talking to the young guys in my youth group, then they are looking at women, and they're looking at women for all various different reasons. And so you're saying that women would like some attention. What are you saying there? What are you saying to my boys, and how could you best instruct them? Because I could have done with this 30 something years ago because I had no idea what I was doing, and still working on it. But yeah, what would you say to them?
It's really difficult because I mean, we all want to be affirmed. The guys want to know that they're liked, that they're attractive, and the girls want that back as well. But actually, as followers of Jesus, as Christians, our compulsion is to love one another, to honor each other, and to actually treat each other with respect. And but when everything inside you is dying to get some positive feedback, that goes out the window, and we can really, really hurt people, and there's a personality type too, a strength called woo, and woo likes to win people over. I don't know anybody in this group that's got woo. About all of you, I think.
I think it's about the lowest on mine, but anyway. Yeah.
Not me.
And so you're really good at meeting new people and making them feel good and winning them over, and there's that kind of personality as well, so there's that in the mix as well. But I think we do need to remember that actually they are people that Jesus loved, and that we're not there to use them, we're not there to make us feel good, that and that to hold that as a teenager is pretty difficult but pretty important.
Yeah. Other thoughts about that? I mean, advice you'd give to young boys trying to navigate women who can be, in my experience, can be a bit changey at times. Trying to put it very politely. So yeah, young boys in my youth group specifically, Jess and Emma, what would you say to them about what would you want them to do to the young women in the youth group? Like, how would you want them to interact and say and speak and stuff? What would you have them do?
It's quite tricky, but I would just say, just be kind, and treat them with respect first, I think, but also cheer them on, like back them when they do stuff. Like I think it's so important. Like, so often as girls, we feel like stupid, or that we can't do things as good as the boys, or like, oh, you run funny, or you throw funny. But just maybe don't do that, and just like back them and like cheer them on and be like, no, like, you were awesome. Like, encourage them, lift them up, like just like, I guess, kind of like hold them with respect, that they actually are, I guess, on the same level as you in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Jess, feelings, thoughts?
Yeah, sorry, I'm struggling to follow the conversation because it's breaking up big time for me.
Oh, sorry.
But anyways, So I hope that I answer the right question. But yeah, I kind of got what Emma was saying. I think treating us like equals. Yeah, and that respect thing I think is really important. Yeah, like I have a lot of respect for the boys in the youth group. That yeah, like sort of I guess they would actually call themselves feminists, but I know that word can probably sound a bit, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, some people don't like that word. Anyways, another conversation. But yeah, but what that means for them is that they treat these girls with that respect and equally. And so that means wanting them to have the same opportunities that they might have. And maybe stepping out of the way so that their peers can do that, and I see that, and I'm like, man, that's so cool when they do that. The hard thing is that teenage girls or teenagers in general, like when someone's nice to you, you can't help but be like, oh my God.
Yeah. So that was kind of
He loved me. I think I love him. Like,
yeah.
So there's always going to be a bit of that, and it's hard. And that's the nature of it. And I think one thing I was going to say earlier when you were talking about hormones and things is I think being able to have really open, honest conversations about these feelings that we have, because God has created us in a certain way. We do have these natural desires, and bodies want to do certain things, and that's actually okay. And I think as Christians, we're told that we have to suppress all this stuff and that it's sinful and bad and all this sort of stuff. But I actually think what's healthier is to have safe people around us where we can have those real honest conversations where we talk about all that sort of stuff, where we talk about these desires that we have. We talk about, how we felt when we looked at that person, or, how our body reacted when we, this person said that thing to me, or whatever it is. Because it is natural to feel like that. But having people to navigate that with us, and I think that's what maybe youth groups or the church has missed a little bit, is have been able to talk honestly about this stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I had a discussion with Mike Hubbards a couple of nights ago, and he brought up this topic of sex before marriage, and not sex before marriage, just sex in general. And it was talked about in the early church about how it was kind of suppressed, and some people twisted it and made it into this, this naughty thing that you were doing, whereas it's this wonderful gift that we've been given. But I think you touched on it there. So if a young guy compliments a young girl in trying to do what Heather said, like, hey, let's build this person up and let's be positive, but then the girl might be like, oh my gosh, and then it's a difficult mess, isn't it? This whole relationship thing. It's a difficult mess being a teenager, right? I mean, there's no answer to the question, but I think what Jess said about being able to talk about it. So how would we, as pastors, pastoral leaders, how do we facilitate that? Because I think that's really interesting. How would we facilitate open discussion? I mean, you're talking about like a young boy sees a young girl, says, hey, I'm actually really attracted to you. Let's talk about that. Like, is that possible? Like, that, if it is, that'd be amazing. But do we think that's a reality?
I think so. Like, maybe, I don't know. Like this literally happened in my small group, like just before lockdown. So I'm like reasonably new to the church that I'm youth pastoring at. So my small group is like a whole lot of girls that I'm still trying to get to know. And we were sort of just talking about relationships and stuff and sex and that kind of thing. And like, I think they were a little bit shocked that I was so open to talk about sex with them, but it needed to happen because that's what they were hearing about at school, and that's what they were sort of, I guess, interested in knowing about. So I think as leaders and youth pastors, we need to be okay with talking about that kind of stuff. Like, obviously, like, you don't want to share too much information, but just to be open about, like, I guess, the talking about it.
Mm.
Just facilitating it in a big group situation would be harder, but like that's where panels like this are epic, because you hear snippets of like different people's experiences, and things like that. Yeah, I think it has been off the topic.
Nice. Thoughts?
I mean, I agree with Emma that this kind of panel is a great start, and then if you could, follow up in a small group with a small group leader that you trust, and I mean their experiences will be pretty real, Most of us have liked somebody and not been liked back, and we know the pain of that. We know the feeling of rejection. We know the excitement of every time we see them. We know our dreams of what it could possibly be like. We do know the pain of that. And talking about that, normalizing that. And I think it's also, we touched on it, and Jess kind of touched on it with you, Dan, was if someone starts that conversation, hey, I really like you, you've got their heart in your hands, and it's really important how you treat them in that moment. It's really important that you don't just laugh and go, whatever, you're just my brother, or, it's really important that you give them the time that they're due, and maybe even in small groups talking about how do you handle it when someone likes you and you don't like them back, how do you do that with honor? How do you, and normalize that even. So, I think youth groups are a great place to do that.
Yeah. Jess, any other thoughts?
Oh, I agree. I agree what's been shared. Yeah. I again just think having older people in your life to bounce stuff off is really helpful. I think I wish I had that when I was a young teenage girl, someone older that I could have these honest conversations with. And even the other thought I had was like normalizing some of the language. I think, as Christians, we're afraid of certain words, to do with relationships or sex or whatever. And so, when we start to normalize some of the language in an appropriate way, it helps with those conversations. Everyone said great things.
Nice. So that leads me on to, again, a question I asked the boys. As pastors, should we be facilitating relationships? I have match made once or twice with varying degrees of, results. And I'm always super tempted to, I like fixing people up for some reason. I know I shouldn't do that, but what do you guys think about that? Like, do you guys, should we be playing matchmaker? Like, oh, there's a cute guy there, or, I mean, am I the only one who does it? Am I the naughtiest youth pastor in New Zealand, or are there others who have done this as well?
I
just did silence. Maybe yes.
A really good friend, some really good friends. I invited them both. Me and my husband, I just got married. I invited this couple. Well, they weren't a couple. These two friends around, and it was the worst night I've ever had. They realized we were trying to set them up, and they just shut up for the rest of the night, and it was awful. And they ended up getting married, by the way, and having 7 kids.
So you still claim that? That's a Heather and Alan setup?
Our timing obviously was not good, and it was just one of the worst nights I've ever had. No, I don't.
Turned out good in the long run, right? Yeah. Jess, Emma, should we be playing matchmaker?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been accused of matchmaking in my time, and it's hard because it's fun. It's real fun. But funnily enough, I think it was end of last year, I had a young boy stop coming to the youth group because he said that Jess was that I was obsessed with relationships and just wanting to match everyone. And I was like, oh my goodness, wow, okay.
Great, I haven't had that, so I feel so much better about myself.
Feedback to get. Yeah, so I guess it's being aware of where the teens are at, I guess. So like I have teens in the youth group that love it, and they're like, oh Jess, you know, who do you think I should be matched with, or like whatever. And then there are other kids that are just can't stand it and they don't want to talk about it, and so I guess my learning is just to be mindful of each young person and where they're at, and their well-being and stuff is way more important than a good laugh. So so probably not.
But it's fun. It's fun though, right? It's also as someone who's restorative myself, I love it when there's a bit of dysfunction. I get to get in there and, you know, do the rest. Wait, Emma, you take over before I get in trouble.
And matchmaking, I tend to stay away from matchmaking. I'm not a massive fan. I mean, like me and Zach will discuss it ourselves. Like if we think we're like, oh, what about that person and that person? But I don't really ever talk to the people themselves. I think like it's up to them to work it out and to figure it out. If they want to come to me with questions, or someone comes to me and asks me what I think or whatever, then I'll like openly share how I'm feeling. But I've had like it never really, like sometimes it works, maybe on the odd occasion, but most of the time it's just like, I mean, it's funny, but it's really not that funny. So I tend to stay away from it. But I mean, in my own time, I'll have a little sneaky like suss some people out together. Yeah.
Nice.
That's why I do, Emma. And it also it also contradicts, like if we're saying you know, probably best not to date when you're a teenager, and then we're trying to match up teenagers.
Yeah, really if you were to date, hey, I know a guy here. Nice.
Don't date. But if you were to date, you two would be good together.
Well, one of the guys pointed out in the chat I had with them that we know a lot about the teenagers, their lives, and we know maybe more about them than other people know about them. So we're pretty good, right? So we should do it.
No, it's up to them to come to talk to us about who they think that we might be good for them, not us to go and tell them.
Yeah. Nice. So when I was in Auckland, I used to see so young adults now. So I'm not the young adults pastor at my church. So we have an amazing team who takes care of that. But you guys are often young adults pastors in your own churches. I used to see that as young adults kind of left high school, went to uni, they would move to more inner city churches, and they were. I don't think they were going for the preaching or the worship. I think they were going. They weren't going for the parking, because the parking in town sucked. And everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. But they'd go there to pair up. And I haven't been in Tauranga long enough to know if this happens in Tauranga or not. But is this still happening in Auckland? Have you seen it? And like, we're talking about young adults now. Is this a healthy thing to do? Is this good? Wise? What advice do you have there? What thoughts, feelings, experiences?
I think like, so when I was in Auckland, I was like in a small rural church where everyone is kind of either related or best mates, or they're already dating someone in that church. So I think for a lot of my friends who are young adults who were perhaps single, there's really like no other way for them to meet people. So I think it's great to go to other churches, and like if that's like I guess you're interested in trying to meet more people, maybe not going with the intention of I'm going to find someone to date, but just being like, I just want to get myself out there. Like a lot of them are working, you know, full time, and so they're not doing extracurricular stuff. It's hard to meet people when you're a young adult and you're single. So I think in terms of meeting new people, and maybe you could end up dating someone, I think like I think that's a good thing. I think just maybe that you're doing it for the purpose of dating is maybe like, I don't know. Yeah.
I think because we were out west, it was quite a drive for our teenagers and young adults to go into town to do that. But for someone like Jess, who's on the fringe of town down there, does this happen? Is this still happening? She's just nodding.
Yes. It is still happening. Yeah, I mean, I struggle with this one because I'm like commitment and loyalty is really important to me.
Yes.
And so that includes church. So I struggle with the whole like shopping around to meet someone at church's thing. Yeah, I don't know. I would say what's more attractive is someone that's committed to a church and serving in a church and, you know, is pursuing Jesus over pursuing a church to find someone. Like, to me, that's a real off-put, but that may just be me. Yeah, so I don't know. For myself as a single person, like, I'm going to be putting my energy into pursuing my relationship with Jesus and being committed to my church family. And, you know, if I meet someone. If I don't, then, you know, I know it's hard, but I trust Jesus through that.
Yes.
But that's probably not a likable answer. Sorry.
No, it's great. If you said Jesus.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think that's so spot on. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think for the friends that I'm talking about, like, their home church is their home church, but maybe they go to another night church to meet people, and not just to meet guys, meet like females as well. But I think that comes from being somewhere that is quite isolated. And yeah, you're spot on. It's more about pursuing your relationship with God than it is about like trying to match yourself up with someone.
Nice. Heather, you were young youth and young adults pastors, you and Alan. That was what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago we were Windsor Park's youth pastors. But I mean, we're still at Windsor Park, and we run a young adult cell group. So we're still very much involved with the young adults. I mean, I feel for them. I feel for them. You go to church, your whole youth group. You're a young adult. You're serving in the church, and there's no one there that really floats your boat, or there's someone who really floats your boat, but they're not interested in you. You know, and so. I do feel for them. I'm okay with people not obviously leaving the church and definitely not giving up where God's called them to serve. But I am okay with them going to, and I quite appreciate what the Ankins did. They have a young adults up here. They have a young adults thing where they get together once a term or something, you know. So and they get to spot the talent there. But we always say QB, you know, Queen's Birthday weekend, come and see.
Well, there was a speed dating thing, right, that used to go on there. And, yeah. And if you're part of that, Emma's cringing. Were you part of the speed dating thing, Emma?
I did get roped in. Can't say I really enjoyed it, but...
Is that where you met Zach? What a great story. You met Zach at a QB.
No, I didn't.
No. Okay. So for my young girls in my youth group, they struggle with relationships. I think every young girl in every youth group struggles with relationships. But speaking to mine specifically, they do, and it's difficult, and it's murky waters, and there's no single answer, and it's a very, very tough thing to traverse. What would you say to them if you could sit them down and say, girls, listen to this. What's one thing that you would want to communicate to them, or even maybe think about maybe to yourself? What's one thing you'd say to yourself if you were back in youth group and you could, you know, time travel this message back to yourself? What would you say to a young Heather, Jess, or Emma? Heather would say invest in these stocks, but actually, Alan already knew what to invest in anyway. He doesn't need time traveling Heather to tell him. Heather, what would you tell yourself as you're in youth group there?
I think it's something Emma touched on at the very beginning, is that you can't say to someone, don't be attracted to someone, or don't, you know, have romantic feelings for someone. You know, you're naturally wired that way. That's part of being a teenager, hormones growing. It's going to happen, you know. But I would say be easier on yourself. You know, don't say to yourself, if that one guy doesn't like me, oh man, I'm ugly, I'm not funny, really put yourself down, because that's not how God sees you, and that's only a moment of your whole life. And there's this great verse in Song of Songs that says, "Do not awaken love until love is ready." And as a teenager who didn't date, not because she didn't want to, but limited stock, I really held on to that. I knew God had me. I knew he was a big God. He had my life in his hands. I knew, and I used to say to my mates, I wouldn't mind waiting as long as I knew there was someone at the end, there was somebody I fancied like crazy at the end. But this verse in Song of Songs, "Do not awaken love until love is ready." And so I was trusting God that he knew when I was ready, and when the other person was ready too. And I know I've come away with a lot less damage than a whole lot of people. I didn't get pushed into exploring and going too far sexually than I was ready for. I know that I have a whole lot less regrets, and I have some really good friendships to this day. Blue was one of my good buddies, from Northern Easter Camp. We're still really good buddies. There's just, I think when you put Jesus first, I really do believe this. When you put Jesus first, when you enjoy him, when you want to honor him with your whole life, it really does protect you from a whole lot of stuff, So, and find someone else that loves Jesus like that too. Yeah.
Nice. Jess, what would you say to little Jess? Did little Jess have long hair as well? Was she little long hair Jess back in youth group?
I guess there's a number of things I'd like to say to Jess, but I think Jesus wants the very, very best for you, and that's worth waiting for, and that's worth fighting for. I think, something that I sort of live by now is that it's better to be single than to be with the wrong person. And there's going to be a lot of wrong people, and not that there's anything wrong with, they're bad people, but the wrong person for you. And so celebrate where you're at, and use that time that you have to, like I said earlier, pursue your relationship with Jesus, work on your leadership, work on who you are as a woman. I can't express enough how incredible women are. They are leaders, they are strong, they are intelligent and talented. And so, seek out opportunities to be everything that God wants you to be, and live in that space, rather than this longing for, if only I could find a boy that would complete me. Because that's it's not going to complete you, and it's not going to make you whole. But go after the things that Jesus wants for you. I don't know, you'll see yourself living a much fuller life, I believe.
And I think guys find that attractive too. I think guys find it attractive when someone is just confident in who they are and enjoying who they are, rather than
no, we're intimidated and we run away. Oh no, she's together, she's gonna see through me. Run.
It's true. She will.
They all have. Emma.
I think very similar to what the others have said. I think that I would tell myself to learn what God says about me, not what other people say about me. To learn about what makes me me. And to really just focus in on that, and to spend time developing my relationship with God, learning about the things that I really suck at and working on those, and learning about the things that I'm also really good at. Just what the others have said, just learning about myself. And I also would tell myself to talk to people about what I'm feeling and what I am, I guess, journeying through. And I look back, and I don't know if it was because I'm the oldest child, and I feel like I had to go through everything myself. But once I learnt to talk to my mum, to talk to my friends about how I was feeling about relationships, or things that I was struggling with or how to deal with situations. It was just so much easier. I didn't have to figure it all out by myself. And yeah, so I would just really encourage girls to just find people that they can talk to about it. It really does make it easier. And people who have gone and journeyed before. I know when I was dating Zach and I was confused about stuff I didn't understand, or like I wasn't sure if this was the right thing, just being able to like talk to like people who have gone through relationships before is just like so beneficial.
It's true. Yeah.
Those are my two things. I mean, there's like heaps of things that I would tell myself, but those are probably the two main things.
Is there anything if you could go back 3 months and maybe tell your sister, is there anything you would tell her? I'd tell her a few things, but no, you don't have to answer that. I'm pretty sure she's not gonna watch.
I think she's done a good job, and like she has learned how to talk to people about it, which I'm really grateful for. She's talked to me about a lot of stuff, so she's doing a good job. Yeah.
It could be a good ad for the intern discovery pathways at Curie, right?
Yeah, man, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, most of your people have come through that I know of are now got partners. So yeah,
really.
Well, they had partners when well, the last guy I sent through your one does. Now the new guy does. So if you're looking to date, go through Heather's. Is it a good ad for it?
Come to Curie, be a youth intern. Yeah, it's awesome.
Do I have a Curie promo banner? I think I deleted it. I've got promote Laidlaw. All right. So for me then, okay, I pastor young teenage women. I've never been a young teenage woman. I know very little about young teenage women, if I'm honest. Specifically around relationships, what advice would you give Daniel? What advice could you girls give me to help me be a better pastor to teenage girls? What do I need to do, or what don't I need to do? What should I stay away from, and what should I encourage? How can I help? Or am I perfect? I'm pretty perfect. Alan thinks I'm perfect.
I think anyone appreciates it when somebody is seen, that somebody sees you and knows you and cares about you, and so I mean, we talk about you being a papa bear, who looks after the little bears, and for you to see someone and to care for them and have an open door to chat to them, and you may not be the most appropriate person to talk to them, I'd say, but helping them find somebody who is appropriate to talk to them and walk with them through things is really helpful. And there may be a guy that's a douche, that's a bit sleazy, you might not be the one that wants to talk to them about that, but you might get somebody appropriate to talk to a young.
I don't mind. I like talking to them about that. So, hey,
Okay.
Confrontations. One of my strengths.
They may not want to hear it from you, Dan. Just saying.
Oh, everyone loves hearing from Dan. Everyone enjoys a little critique from Dan Marshall, especially Chetan. Speaking of Emma, any advice for Dan Marshall?
For Dan Marshall would be to not matchmake.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
About 50% of the couples out there would agree with you. Yeah.
It's just, I think as a teenager, it can be quite pressurizing when someone's putting a whole lot of pressure on you. And like, even as a young adult, like, you just don't need that in life. So yeah, that's my advice for you.
That's very, very good advice. Very, very good advice. Yeah. Jess, any advice for Dan? On relationships, not just in general life. I should do this.
There you go. Just probably what I've been saying this whole time is celebrate singleness just as much as we celebrate relationships, because I feel like in churches in general, relationships are celebrated a lot more than singleness.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think that's sad. And I this is not me saying that relationships are bad. Definitely pro relationships as well. But I think there is an inequality there. And when we read scripture, there isn't an inequality. Scripture talks time and time again about what a gift it is to be single and be content exactly where you are, and how we can serve God, and that how we're not divided between a spouse or a partner and what God's calling us to do. And so I think to celebrate that as well, and talk about that also, so that there are other options for young people, not just everything's pointing towards a relationship, because society tells us that as well, that everything points towards a relationship.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it does. Nice. Great. Well, thank you, girls, for that. I think that ends the relationship side of things. One thing I did want to ask, just as a side, this is, I talked to Sarah Harris about women in leadership, and had an amazing talk with her, and she's phenomenal about this. And so you three have all done ministry, and you got 3 different age brackets here. Have you, as females, found genuine pushback about being a woman pastor, being a woman leader, and having authority in church? Have you faced that yourselves, or is that you've managed to bypass all of that doesn't exist for you? Any thoughts you want to share around that before we go?
You're opening a whole nother can of worms there, Dan.
Yeah, I know. Just as a side.
I'm way older than Emma and Jess, and so my hope and my prayer is that they haven't had much, maybe some, but hopefully not much. But I grew up in a church that where women, they had the wrong understanding of 1 Corinthians 14 and 1 Timothy 2, and no one had unpacked that well for them, so they just read it off the surface of scripture, and so I grew up in a church where women weren't to have ministry, weren't to have a calling, except to be a wife and a mum. No, they could also look after Sunday school. So that was good. I've grown up with a lot of pushback, but I was very, very blessed to be part of an organisation in my late teens, early 20s, where it was recognised that women had a calling and a gifting, and they set me free. It wasn't a church, but it was a strong Christian organisation that's recognised calling and developed it, and it was awesome. It was great to be validated in how God had wired me. Yeah.
Nice. Jess, you're the
and
next.
Can I also say that we are so fortunate to have an incredible woman like Heather, who's been a trailblazer for us women, in leadership. So thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks.
I know for myself, I'm really fortunate in that I'm in a church that are really supportive of women in leadership, and we have quite a number of female pastors. So I'm not the only female pastor at my church. But what I have noticed is just subtle, potentially unintentional inequality in terms of like opportunities that might be given, and difference. Okay. There's a difference in the opportunities that men might get over what women might get. So that's been hard to navigate as a female. And it is hard, I think, when you leave the.
She said leave that, and she left. But she's come back. Hi.
Something fun.
You said leave that, and you magically disappeared.
What is going on?
Yeah. So you were saying that when you leave the.
Oh yeah. So when I leave my own sort of church bubble, you don't see as many women in leadership as you do men, and I think having female examples, so that you can look to other people like Heather and go, wow, I can do that because she's done it before me. And yeah, so it's hard when there's not as many examples, but it's really, I feel so hopeful and excited, like particularly when I go to, when I see the people that are coming through Kerry, and just some incredible women that are coming through into leadership and believing that they can lead because God's called them. So that's exciting. I find that hopeful.
And Emma, have you found any roadblocks? Have you encountered sexism in ministry thus far?
Yeah, not massively. I feel very honoured that the church that I grew up in and I did most of my training in was super supportive of me as not only a female pastor but also someone who was very young to be pastoring. So I am really grateful. Like Jess was saying, like it sort of just happens subtly. Like the other day I was in a meeting and I was the only female in that meeting. It was like a Zoom meeting and we went into breakout rooms. And I just got talked over, which like
does it happen to you a lot? Do you find that all the time? Is it mostly men who do that?
All the time.
At the end of the meeting, and it wasn't that I didn't have anything to say. I did, but I hadn't been given the opportunity because it just steamrolled right over me, which like I don't think I meant to, but it just kind of happens quite often.
Yeah.
So situations like that, and then when I got my new job, a few people were a bit concerned about what would happen if I got like pregnant, which is like a male pastor would never be like an issue for them. Whereas
I've never been asked, what am I going to do when I get pregnant?
Like, well, you're right. But,
I look pregnant.
I just don't think those kinds of questions should be asked of female pastors. And I don't think they meant it in like a bad way. I think they were just an elderly person, and I think they were just genuinely concerned what would happen.
Yeah.
But to me, like, you just can't be doing that. Like that it's just not right. So I think it's just more like subtle things like that.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I'm like, I just zone them out. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And like, I am super hopeful for all those younger female leaders that are coming up to see like how like we've had awesome people who have paved the way, and we get to stand on their shoulders, and then people get to stand on our shoulders, and it's going to be great eventually.
Because I think for you as well, you've got because you're also young, and so if you're in a room full of, let's call it white male pastors, you're female as well, so we're like, oh, okay, and then you're also very young, so that's got to be difficult. Heather, do you find that guys is it called mansplaining? Is that mansplaining? Is that what it is?
Sometimes I play to it. Sometimes I'm just bored, and so I'll just pretend. Oh, what do you mean by But that's only at parties. I mean, it happens all the time for me. And I actually on my Facebook page got a really good article that Krista McCurland, the new woman theologian, has put out, and it's basically exactly what Emma said, that if you put super smart young women at Stanford, like the SATs are higher than the guys, but you put them in a group, just one woman with a whole lot of guys, she will not be heard, and how that works and why that works. But and even if because I grew up with people like Blue, if you know the guy who runs Northern Easter Camp, we would go toe to toe if we disagree with each other theologically or whatever. And in our organisation, that was totally acceptable for the girls to challenge the guys as much as they challenged each other, But then enter into a Baptist situation, I get called prickly or touchy and I just thought it was normal to argue your point, but it's not acceptable. And the hard thing, like I'm thinking about Jess, watching guys maybe get more opportunities than her. And if you're the woman that says, hey, it looks like, I don't know if it's true, but it looks a little bit to me like they might be getting more opportunities than me or than her, then you're labelled that woman. You're that woman, that woman that's always pushing the feminist barrel, and we're not. We're just trying to say our churches are biased, our society is biased. Can we open up the conversation? Can we open up the conversation to see, if there is something here that we need to be more fair? And all the research would say we need to actually invite the guys, like you, Dan, to realise. I mean, just to be honest, Dan, you calling us girls before. You've done it twice.
I know.
You've called us girls, and I'm like,
I know.
I'm not a girl.
Yep, I'm not going to defend myself. Yeah, it's better than chicks.
I quite like chicks. Chicks is fun, But yeah.
Yeah, I even put girls in one of the questions, but yes, I do call women girls at times, and it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just stuff like that,
Yeah. Well, like Emma said before, like that conversation you had that this week. Was it this week or within the last where you got talked over?
No,
or
weeks, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, in in today's times, yeah, it's still happening. So yeah, that's interesting because I still get this. Once every 4 or 5 months, I'll be like, oh, Dan, you're doing such a good job. When are you going to be a real pastor? And I'm like, I used to joke about that a lot. And then someone, it may have even been Heather or someone who said they never got that. No one ever comes up to them and says, oh, you're doing such a good job at youth ministry. When are you going to be a real pastor? It seems like it's only the guys who get told that. Now, it bugs me when it happens to me because it's like, excuse me, you're not validating my position as youth pastor. But I never thought about it not happening. And yeah, was that you, Heather, who brought that to my attention? Yeah. Yeah. Emma and Jess, has someone ever come up to you and said, oh, you're doing such a great job, when are you going to become a real pastor?
I can't tell if Jess is going. Not really. Like, I mean, my pastor jokes that I'm going to one day take over his job, but like, it's more just like a banter. We just banter with one another. But I don't think I've ever had anyone say when you're going to be a real pastor.
Yeah. Jess is so offended by it. She's left the comment. Oh, she's back. I thought I upset you, Jess. I thought, oh no. She's very sensitive.
I just want to put out there.
I'm really struggling to hear because it's breaking up.
Really?
I just wanted to put out that we, as
if I leave and then rejoin, will that work?
Yeah.
You've done it once before. Feel free.
Yeah, jump out and jump back in. See if that makes any difference.
Okay, I'll see you in a tick.
Goodbye.
So I just want to push something that I'm really into, Dan, and maybe if your young women are watching, they can talk to you about it. We're wanting to develop a mentoring system for Baptist women leaders, so inviting pastors, youth pastors, elders to look for young women with potential and to find them a mentor to help them just grow as people, grow in themselves, grow in their gifting. And you may have some young women who are like, yeah, I really want to take that opportunity. I want to grow. So I want someone to walk alongside me. So
I do. I have a phenomenal young girl who's just exploding with zest and enthusiasm for the Bible and everything like that. So what do I do for her? Because I'm trying to lead her, through the Bible and discovering all this stuff. But what would you have me do? What's a good pathway for this particular girl?
Well, I think you've already started. I think acknowledging, hey, I see something in you. There is. And I want to celebrate that. I think God has given you some strengths and there's a calling on your life. Now, we all have a calling on our life. It's not particular. But just I want to see that grow, So I am really aware that youth pastors and pastors, whether they're male or female, have huge workloads. So I'm really keen on the person in leadership calling that out and then finding somebody to mentor them. I think there needs to be chemistry in that, just like you need a boy-girl relationship chemistry. There needs to be someone who the mentor likes the person they're mentoring, and I get the mentee then to do a questionnaire so they can start going deep straight away, build a relationship, but then start going deep. And how do you want to grow? Where do you want to grow? Let's start walking together. Let's start talking about the things that freak you out, the things that bring you joy. All your strengths, your weaknesses, and let's start growing them.
Is this a different? This is different than the mentoring program that BYM used to offer.
Sure. No,
This is
I mean, it could be used for guys. No worries.
no, but it's fine. It's good that it's for women.
Yeah.
So this young girl I would find a woman in the congregation who is, phenomenal herself, and then pair them up, or go through you. Do we?
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, eventually we'll try and have something to do with it, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
But it may be, that it might be a young woman who wants to be phenomenal in business. She wants to be a Christian businesswoman. So
She does, actually.
Yeah. Then find
you're describing the girl. So
right.
Yeah.
She loves Jesus and she wants to be good at what she does and serve God in business.
Yep.
Great. Then
Yep.
find a Christian businesswoman who loves Jesus and has walked that walk before her, So, yeah, it's not just about people in Christian ministry in the church, It's about wherever God is calling someone to excel.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, we'll do that. And you run a discovery intern pathways at Kerry. You can do some free promotion now. Yeah.
Yeah, great free promotion. If you would like to be an intern in your church for a year, and if you would like to do a little bit of Bible study on the side and go deeper into scripture, learn how to be a good youth worker, and discover more about yourself, grow as a young adult, learn your strengths, learn your weaknesses, learn how to understand your boundaries, how your background has maybe broken you, but get healing for that, how to build great relationships, all those kind of things. We try and focus on a year of growing you as a disciple of Jesus in your local context. So, yeah, Kerry Discovery Internships are fantastic. You work with young people from all over New Zealand that are doing the same thing you are, and boy, you build good friendships. It's awesome.
Nice. Okay. And we should go on mission through BYM, right?
Yeah,
we should. Yeah.
About that.
Yeah. And Jess wants to promote her latest album.
Yeah. Go Jess.
We're now doing some free promotion on stuff. Yeah. Your latest EP on Spotify. Go listen to it now. She doesn't know.
Quarantine tunes.
Nice.
We can sing your guitar, top of your guitar, Jess, so we know you're musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna play us. Oh, she's gonna play us out with an original that she's made for us. Thank you, women, not girls. Thank you, women, for joining me today. Thank you for what you've done for the girls in my youth group and any of the youth groups who come across this video. Thank you. I hope that they listen to this. I hope that they, they can hear the wisdom being passed down. And just thank you. Thank you for having these chats. I'd love to have you guys back again. So I'm talking to that boys group again. Trying to get different perspectives on different topics. So another topic we want to talk about is pornography, and we were going to do that as guys, but that's a thing for girls now too, right? Back in my day, it was very, very, very rare. Now it's, almost, mainstream, and talking about the effects of that. So if you ever want to join me again, I'd be keen for that. But if there's other topics I don't yet know of that you want to discuss, let me know. We can do this anytime. But just thank you all for giving up your time.
Thanks, Ian.
To come do this. Yeah. So thank you all. Bless you, and everyone out there in Facebook land or wherever you're watching this, and whenever you're watching this. Thanks for that. Great. Thank you, ladies.
See you, friends.
Oh, thank you.